Yo, what's the deal? It's your boy 12Xiibyte. There's an infinite number of reasons as to why you're getting defeated online. But with this video, hopefully perk distribution won't be one of those problems anymore. This is good for all weight classes. So of course you want to have the perks available. And another thing is that with these styles, you want to make sure that you are good at the styles that I am demonstrating for you, or the perks that I am selecting for you. Because don't come and tell me that these things don't work if you're not good in the clinch and you trying to use a clinch setup. You need to put yourself in these predicaments so you can get better and so you can understand how these perks work. I took a lot of time to do that, and I wanted to share my experience, experiments, and success with you all. And it starts with this video. So here we go. The first setup that I want to show you all will be for grounding, pounding people. So I guess they're ground and pounders. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go on and get ground and pound. Now, if you're doing ultimate team, it's going to depend on which, level you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most of the perks that I have is in between level 3 and level 4. But even if it's level 2 or level 1, you still want to make sure that you have these perks available and be on the lookout to upgrade them, because these will be the perks that will flesh out this archetype. So I'm just going to pick level 5 just to show you what it could be, and the max is 10% on this perk. The next perk you want to get is a stand-up perk, and it's going to be Game Changer. And the reason why you want to have Game Changer is because it increased the chances of your flash knockdowns and KOs by head punches. So that's when you're on the ground or even when you're standing up. So whenever you can catch your opponent slipping with an overhand right, that means that they'll be just as, damaged as the amount of damage that you would have put on them as if they were on the ground. And whenever that happens, you want to make sure you have this perk, which is a physical perk, and this perk is Opportunist. And why? Because it reduced the stamina lost for throwing strikes during your opponent's health events. That means that after you connect with that overhead right, any more strikes that you throw after that, you won't incur that big stamina tax. And even if you missed, you won't incur that big of a stamina tax. So to follow that up is pretty much the workflow. And the workflow is that after you do that health event, you're going to try and, punch him. But of course he's going to move away from you, right? But 9 times out of 10, he's sweet for that clinch. So you're going to grab him in the clinch. And then you're going to need this perk, which is Judoka. And I hope I'm saying that right. Let me go to it right here. And this will increase the damage of throws and trips from the clinch by 10% on a good day. So that means that if you get that clinch and do that judo throw or whatever suplex that you may have equipped, that's going to incur even more damage for your opponent. And then it's going to lead right back into the ground and pound and the game changing. You see, I have a workflow for this. It's already getting good already. And this is just on perks. So let me hurry up and finish up. So the next one that you want to have is Light Glue. And Light Glue is for whenever your opponent tries to punch you or, to get out the clinch, you have it by 25% on a good day. So you're protected there. So this is the setup for a ground and pounder. This is what I would do if I was that type of person. The next one I want to talk about is Submission King. Now, this one it's kind of balanced, but more on the attacking side, and you'll find out why. So first things first is you want to go on and get Tap Already. And Tap Already reduces the stamina cost of submission attempts. And this will be good, especially if you're one of those people who like to spam the submission because your opponent's sweet for it. I would do it too. You got to protect yourself at all times. I don't have nothing against it. I just get mad when I get beat by it. But I understand the game and I understand the workflow. And next you want to have Workhorse, and Workhorse is right below Tap Already, and this one will reduce the stamina cost of get-ups, ground passes, and submission attempts by 10% on a good day as well. And this is good because, like I said, if you're gonna spam them, or what if you're just the type of person to protect yourself, you know that your opponent is just as good as you on the ground, then you want to be able to at least have the advantage of getting up faster than him if you can outsmart him. So it's definitely good to have that there. The next thing you want to have is higher altitude. And the reason why you want higher altitude is because it reduced the penalties on speed and fatigue caused by low stamina. So that means that whenever you're trying to move away and you're just trying to strike and you're missing strikes, you won't incur that big of a stamina tax. So like if you were to spin, you would incur maybe the stamina tax of a heavy overhand right or something like that. The next thing that you want to have is Chess Master, and Chess Master is definitely beneficial because it increased the advancement rate of your submission gates. So that means that if you ever got to the ground and your opponent was like, what, maybe 70 on choke submission and 70 on joint, but his submission gates was advancing so fast and you even had the advantage. This is why he maybe had level 5 chest master, because the second that he goes for that rear naked choke on from the back, you know, he's gonna outsmart you. He's gonna get to that second gate and then he's gonna flip it into the armbar and you only have one more chance to get out. That's why you want to have chest master. If you want to be one of those type of people, you're definitely going to need that. And I'm not going to include the other one, which is escape artist, because you won't need it if you are the attacker on the ground, especially if you're already up to par. So these perks, again, is just a minor side of it, but it's definitely beneficial. You're going to have the skill and the attribute level to match your skill, or to at least make up for your skill. And the last thing that you want to have for Submission King would be Judoka as well. And this will increase the damage throws, the damage of throws and trips from the clinch, and that will be 10% on a good day. So Judoka is definitely, you know, worth it, because the majority of the time that you get to the ground would be from you initiating it. So that means like outside or inside trips or single leg takedown, stuff like that. Those are, you know, well, the takedown is a takedown, but the majority of those are throws and trips from the clinch. So you want to have that in your advantage, at least when you take it on the ground, you can just keep it moving. So next we have the stand-up god, and we've all encountered a lot of these people online since the game came on board, even in the beta. So with this one, first things first is that you want to have fluidity. I'm sorry for stuttering on that, but fluidity. Reduce the stamina cost of strikes after landing a strike. This is definitely good, especially if you are long and tall and you jab a lot. Because if you jab and you connect with those jabs and you jab to the face, jab to the body, throw a hook to the body, throw it straight to the face, all those things are fluid and they don't take as much of a stamina tax as if it would have. Which means that while your stamina is tanking because you're taking these punches, my stamina is the same as if I only threw 3 punches rather than 5 punches. So again, it's minor, but these are things that definitely can turn the tide in your favor. And the next thing you want to have is game changer, because that's another thing that's going to turn the tide in your favor. If you ever came right into the beginning of the match and he hit like a rear elbow right to the face and you're immediately turned red, this is because of this. And it's a 10% chance, but 10% is a whole lot better than a 2% chance, which is pretty much what you're running up against if you don't have the perk. So you definitely want to have that in case you catch that opponent with that straight and then follow up with, you know, the hook or maybe the head kick or, you know, anything like that can combo into another punch to get that game changer. It's definitely worth it. The next thing you want to have is Headhunter, and that's a stand-up perk as well. And let me see, where is it? Headhunter right here. So this increased the chance of knockdowns and KOs from head kicks. And this goes hand in hand with the game changer. This is if you strike to the head with that straight, follow up with that head kick, bam, you know, your 10% chance basically went up to a 20% chance because you had 2 strikes that could have did it to the opponent. And all these things add up. And that's another thing that most people don't understand. So what if it's 10%? Or so what if it's 8%? These things add up depending on how many strikes that you can throw in succession and in combo. So 2 jabs, you know, in succession doesn't really count, but a jab then that straight will definitely, you know, lead you up to par to getting that game changer, or like I said, transitioning over to the head kick with the head hunting perk. So next after that will be risk and reward, and that's another stand-up one. And I know you're like, you know, stand up, and you know why you got all stand up, but you're gonna see in just a second. It's gonna make even more sense. But risk and reward, increase the speed of strikes during opponents' health events. So whenever you get that game changer or that headhunter, this thing goes up to 25%. This is why a lot of people, I am most certainly betting, because you don't see your opponent's perks. You see their moves, their best move, and their attributes, but you don't see their perks. So I can guarantee that a lot of those tall guys that just fight long and tall have this exact combo. Because if not, and they don't, well then I think I'm probably creating monsters right now. But risk and reward is definitely worth it, because your speed is gonna get higher, and you can only block at a certain rate. and a certain speed when you're under those health events, especially depending on how severe it is. So if you don't have defense, lunging, slipping, stuff like that, you're gonna get caught, and he's gonna get, his reward for the risk that he took of increasing his punch output. And then you have fluidity that doesn't even tax it as much as it's supposed to be taxed. So the last perk that we want to have is Opportunist, and this will flesh it out. So it is an 80-20 split, but this works hand in hand with the stand-up setup because it reduced the stamina loss for throwing strikes during your opponent's health events. I'm stuttering. So when you look at this whole setup, well, I got my speed increased whenever he's going through the KO moment. I don't lose as much stamina when he's going through the KO moment. I can cause the KO moment from head kicks or head punches. And I don't incur a stamina tax throughout all of the duration of the fight, depending on this. But I am susceptible to the ground game. I am susceptible to the clinch because I don't have those perks. I may be good in it, but those perks, it's minor, but it means that much. So if I'm in a position where I'm in the stand-up and I just can't defeat my opponent because he has a setup like this, then I'm going to most likely take it to the ground because I'll stand a better chance. Next up, we have MMA Balanced. And this is just an all-around MMA type perk style that, the average MMA fighter would have. And by average, I don't mean subpar, I just mean, normal. So fluidity, you want to go on and keep that there. Then you want to have Escape Artist, and we omitted this back in the Submission King because it was for attacking, but now we're going to be defense orientated, and we want to get Escape Artist because it increased the speed of submission gates after each submission advancement. So let's say that, hey, my submission defense is at 80 across joints and chokes, but my opponent's just that much sweeter. Maybe he has a perk. Well, with that submission advancement, if I am good at getting my opponent off of me and getting out of the submission on a good day. Imagine if I have an opponent that's going to push me to the limit, but I know that I have getting out of the submissions is my ace in the hole. I'm very good at it. This Escape Artist would be good because the further they get into the submission, the faster it gets. So your opponent is going to, oh, I can't do it again. Oh, wait, I can't keep up. And then you'll get out if you're smart enough. So this is about being defensive because online, this is what you are susceptible to. And this is what a lot of people is going to nitpick on and attack. They are going to take you to the ground or trying to flying submit you or anything like that. So you want to be conscious of that. And by showcasing that consciousness, you want to have the perks there for it. Next thing you want to have is Crushing Presence. And that's a ground perk. And the reason why we want to have Crushing Presence is because it reduces your opponent's stamina recovery when you're in a dominant position. So this means after defending the takedown, getting in a full mount, full guard, anything where you're on top and you're dominant, having their back, you will have an advantage. Your stamina will recover at whatever rate that you have it recovering at, and your opponents will decrease. So that means that if you can continue to just, keep them off their guard, rock your opponent, stay on top of them, make them burn out their stamina, then just start attacking the body, you will basically either win the round or set them up for something big if you know how to set them up for it. So after that, you want to make sure you have Game Changer. And the reason why you want to have Game Changer is for the split-second moment that all of us fall victim to. You know that moment when the opponent gets up and we just like, man, I'm enraged, so I'm just going to keep throwing punches. Me being smart, I'm going to try and throw a head kick because I know that's the best way I can get distance away from my head because that's what you've been working on. But if you can manage to attack the correct way with maybe hitting with a head kick or a properly placed punch, you can get this Game Changer perk to work in your favor, and you can then begin to continue to develop your workflow. And to finish off this workflow, you want to have Carved of Wood, and this is a physical perk, and this reduces the duration of your health events. So again, this is kind of like attack but defensive. If you look at the perk distribution, it's kind of balanced, like it's 40-40-20. I mean, it can get a little more balanced than that, but as for an all-around game where you have to be knowledgeable and not be susceptible in stand-up, clinch, and ground game, this is probably the best setup that's going to work for you. Because if you have an opponent that's just phenomenal on stand-up and hit you with a health event, at least you know that it will last 25% less than what it would have. So if you're good at defending, but you just can't defend for so long, this is what you would need to have up your sleeve. And finally, we're going to come to my personal setup that I would use online against my opponents. And we're going to keep fluidity in its #1 spot. And we're going to keep escape artist in its #1 spot. But we're going to add the workhorse to the equation, because at level 5, it reduces the stamina cost of get-ups, ground passes, and submission attempts by 10%. So whenever I'm on the ground and I got my top game at 100%, at least I know I would always have the advantage if I'm going to defend when my opponent is trying to, you know, go to a more dominant position than what I have. Or if I'm just trying to get up from a submission king, I would at least be able to get up and not incur stamina attacks. Or if they stop it, my stamina attacks won't be so significant. And after that, you want to go on and add risk reward, sorry. And that will be a stand-up for that. And again, that increased the speed of strikes during your opponent's health events by 25%. And that's very, very, very vital to have, because once you get them in a solid predicament where there's nothing that they can do, like I said, the speed with that, the speed of the attacks to the body, then being able to get that uppercut in there to the head, you know, it's the combos that you would have available to you while your opponent is basically trying to recover standing up. You will make it damn near impossible for them. And last thing you want to have is crushing presence. And the reason why I would have this entire setup is because the workflow is kind of universal, but it's very mixed martial arts. It's similar to the balanced one, but it's in my particular style, and I'll explain it now that I have everything here. So the fluidity is because I know I'm very good at stand-up, and I know that if you can connect with the perfect jab, the perfect body hook, stuff like that, you can rock your opponent basically into a KO moment in less than 6 seconds. So I want to have fluidity so that way whenever I land these strikes, I would have enough stamina to follow up with something big. And escape artists is because a lot of the opponents online are just they're vicious, man. They're waiting to attack any type of submission that they can, and you have to be mindful where you are on the ground. And sometimes you may see the submission coming, but you just can't stop it. For those opponents that like to spam the same submission, this will allow you to have the advantage against them. Get back to your feet and try it again. You want to have workforce because it reduces the stamina cost of the get-ups and ground passes, because like I said, when I'm on top, I want to make sure that I have the advantage. I have the first move, that if I'm trying to go one way and my opponent goes another, I would at least have a 10% advantage against them, or hopefully if the perks that the opponent has doesn't cancel my perks out. And risk and reward is, again, once they're in those moments where you have them right where you have them cornered, you can just increase your speed. You won't have to worry about your stamina being taxed. You have everything that you need to go. And again, when you're in those dominant positions and you're working, you're just slowly gonna wear at your opponent's stamina, wear down that body, and basically get the win by the decision. Or if you can pop off, get that submission, get the KO, and get out of there and get into the next match. So I really hope you all enjoyed this video. I basically broke down the best perk setups that you could have. If you didn't know, I'm doing the Ultimate Team series right now, so make sure you tune into that. You can check that out at this video right here to the left, or you can check out more of what my channel has to offer right here in the video playing to the right. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, knock out that subscribe button, and keep it locked right here on 12 Byte Gaming. It's your boy 12, and I got you 6.